Good morning, students. I am Dr.R.Suganya, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science with Cybersecurity. Today I am going to talk about reconstructing the past events in cyber forensic analysis. So the increase in computer-related crime has led to development of special tools to recover and analyze computer data. A combination of hardware and software tools has been developed using commercial off the shelf utilities integrated with newly developed programs. Procedures have been defined and implemented to protect the original computer data. So, processes have been developed to recover hidden, erased, and password protected data. Because there is a wide variety of computers, peripherals, and software available, including many different forms of archival storage like zip, ZAS disk, tape, CD-ROM. So it is important that a wide variety of equipment be available for recovery and analysis of evidence residing on a computer's hard disk and external storage media. So recovered data must be analyzed and a coherent file must be reconstructed using advanced search programs specifically developed for his work. So how to become a digital detective? So once when an event occurs, so what all we have to do and how we can recover the data in digital evidence we have seen and how we can reconstruct it. So recovering electronic data is only the beginning. So once we recover it, we need to determine how to use it and in our case. So in other words, how do we reconstruct past events to ensure that our findings will be admissible as evidence in our case. So there are some recommendations to accomplish the goal. The first one is convert digital evidence. So before we reconstruct past events, the present data has to be in the format that we can work with, and it has to be in a media such as holograms, video, data tapes, or zip disk, or any event which has been happened that can be stored in 3.5-inch floppy disk too. That has been the oldest thing that we store the data. And usable file formats, like even if the data is in a format that appears to be one you already use, conversion still may be very necessary. It will be like we have to convert the data into a different operating systems that just to be portable. Okay, so although simple files created with one company software generally can be opened without a problem using a competitor's comparable product, so it does not hold true, but it will be like more complex files. There are some unusable file formats, like we have electronic data in a format that we cannot use, and these issues with the variety of files including like email files, database files. It will be in .txt, which is dumped from database files, and how we can convert these files. So if we wanted to convert the data such as uh, from the electronic data that we can directly into the programs such as Access or Excel using the wizards built into those programs. So this can be in the case with .txt file. Sometimes the first line in a file we are converting may even contain the names of the fields that need to be created, further simplifying our task. If that information is not in the file, then we have to get the field names and descriptions from the producing party. Next is about fighting against macro threats. So information warfare could easily crash power grids, financial networks, transportation systems, and telecommunications, among other vital services. The National Security Agency traces a macro threat from hostile or potentially hostile governments as well as drug lords, criminal cartels, and increasingly computer savvy guerrilla groups. So some of the drug organizations are doing reconnaissance today on US networks, mapping them and looking for vulnerabilities. So let us in the is the US government prepared for information warfare? The answer is resounding no. A reasonable question is that should be asked is why are we vulnerable? In a recent report, the Defense Science Board Task Force on Information Warfare lays a blame at the US government own steps. The reality is that the vulnerability of the Department of Defense to offensive IW information warfare attack is largely a self-created problem. So it has the US industry has sold globally much of the generic technology it can be used to strike these. If the attacker is simply a hacker, cracker, or script kiddie, it might be for nothing more than to grab a credit card number or prove to friends that he or she could do it. So, education, not legislation, is a key component. The US government can pass all the laws it wishes, but it won't affect the traffic that is coming out of countries such as Korea, China, and Singapore. The government needs to communicate these messages with intelligence. So, say for example, we have like Israeli and cybercrime intelligence, which they have passed a spyware in order to hack the particular politicians' messages, all things. What industry groups have done to prepare for information warfare? So, the National Security Council held the first meeting of the recently formed Cyber Incident Steering Group aimed at fostering cooperation between private industry and government to secure systems from domestic and international cyber attack. So, among topics discussed were the creation of rapid response systems and communications between industry and government. So, doomsday software like FBI fingers China, that is, many unnamed countries are developing technologies to complicate what US military refers to as power projections. So, strategic diplomacy and information warfare, and new tools and technologies have created the psychological warfare to a degree imagined only in the science fiction. So, the United States armed forces need to develop a systematic capstone concept of military knowledge and diplomatic strategy. So, such a strategy would include clear doctrine and a policy for how the armed forces will acquire, process, distribute, and get knowledge. Next, strategic diplomatic implications and the role of international organizations. So, here we can see the publicly magnified foreign countries involved in economic espionage and information warfare, which involves an US remediations. So, countries identified by NCS as using electronic intrusions usually for economic espionage purposes. So, like Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Iran. So, they have involved usually for economic espionage purposes, which are using electronic intrusions. Russia, Philippines. So, the role of global military alliances, it is three terms are examined like military informations and operations. So, these are the data that has been given for the constructing the past events. Thank you.